Hey, glad you're here. Quick question. When your company sent out that return to office email, what did they say the reason was? Collaboration, culture, innovation, team building? Something along those lines, right? And maybe you nodded along. Maybe you grumbled a little but figured, okay, fine.
And look, I want to be upfront about something. Not every company doing return to office is running some cold, calculated scheme. Some genuinely believe people work better together. Some have real reasons. Some managers just miss having their team around, and honestly, that is pretty human. But here is what the numbers actually show. Study after study since 2020 has found that remote workers are, on average, just as productive as in-office workers. Sometimes more.
Here is how voluntary attrition actually plays out in real life. Company announces a return to office policy. 5 days a week, starting in 60 days. Some people are fine with it. They live close, they do not have complicated childcare situations, they come back. But a meaningful chunk of the workforce, especially the ones who moved further away during remote work, the ones with young kids, the ones who took on caregiving responsibilities, they do the math. The commute costs, the childcare gap, the lunch expenses, the time. And quietly, one by... Now here is where it gets personal. How do you know if the return to office policy at your company is genuine, or if it is this? A few things to pay attention to. First, timing. Did the RTO announcement come around the same time as talk of budget cuts, hiring freezes, or slower growth? That is not a coincidence. Second, exceptions. Are senior leaders and executives also coming in 5 days a week? Or is the mandate applying mostly to the people below a certain level? When the people making the rules are not following them, that tells you something. Third, enforcement. Are managers actually tracking attendance? Is there real follow-through? Or is the policy vague enough that it creates anxiety without clarity, which is actually more effective at getting people to leave than a strict rule would be? Fourth, culture shift. Has the office environment changed in ways that are hard to name but easy to feel? Fewer perks, less investment in the space, less warmth from leadership. So, what do you actually do if you think this is happening to you? First, do not panic quit. That is exactly what the strategy is designed to produce, a reactive decision made out of frustration or anxiety. Take a breath. Give yourself time to think clearly. Second, update everything. Resume, LinkedIn, reach out to your network, not because you are leaving tomorrow, because you want options. And options change how clearly you can think about your situation. Third, document everything. If the working conditions are changing significantly, keep a record. Dates, policy changes, communications. Not for drama. Just so you have a clear picture of what actually happened if you ever need it. Fourth, have the conversation. If you have a manager you trust, ask directly, what does success look like here for someone in my position over the next year? The answer? Or the way they avoid answering? Will tell you a lot. Here is the bigger picture, though. The way companies are treating return to office right now is part of a much larger shift in the relationship between employers and employees in America. For about 3 years, from 2020 to 2023, workers had more power than they had in decades. Remote work gave people flexibility. A tight job market gave people options. The balance shifted. And a lot of companies did not like that. What we're seeing now, the RTO mandates, the quiet layoffs, the performance management upticks, is in many ways a correction, an attempt to reestablish the old dynamic, where the company holds the leverage, where you need them more than they need you, where your options feel limited enough that you accept whatever conditions you are given.
Sound familiar? It should, because it is the same dynamic we talked about in the last video. The system does not change its goals. It just changes its tactics.
My honest advice? Do not make this about anger. Do not make this about loyalty or betrayal or any of that. Make it about information. You now know that return to office mandates are sometimes, not always, but sometimes, a cost management strategy dressed up as a culture initiative. You now know what voluntary attrition means and how it works. That knowledge changes how you read the situation you are in. It means you can respond with clarity instead of confusion. It means you can make a real decision based on what is actually happening instead of a reactive one based on how it feels. And whether you decide to stay or go, you will be doing it with your eyes open, which is the only way to make a decision that you will actually feel good about later. There is a version of the story that ends well. Someone gets the RTO mandate, does the math, updates their LinkedIn, has the coffee with the recruiter, finds something better, leaves on their own terms, not the company's. And 2 months later, they are working somewhere that actually wanted them there. Not because they were forced back to a desk, but because the work mattered and the people were decent and nobody needed to engineer anyone's exit because nobody wanted anyone to leave. That place exists. It exists more than people think. But you will not find it if you are too panicked or...
But you will not find it if you are too panicked or too stuck to look. So look.